Hello and welcome to the Stacey West preview with Cambridge United on Tuesday night. I am joined by Tom from the Under the Abbey Stand podcast. Tom, how are we doing?
Yeah, good. Thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm rather pleased after yesterday's result. I'm not sure if you've seen Lincoln's result yesterday, although let's be honest, you probably won't have been able to miss it. So I'm quite happy. What about you guys? I mean, even if we just take away yesterday's result, just the whole season as well, is this where you kind of expect it to be?
Yeah, I think so. In terms of our position in the league and sort of how it's all going, really, I think, I think we were pretty realistic that, we survived on the last day of last season in pretty emphatic, or pretty remarkable circumstances, really, and that was good. But I think we were all pretty aware that this season would kind of be quite similar. We were hoping for a bit of progression, I guess, in terms of can we stay up maybe a little more comfortably than we did, and at the moment, I guess, we're obviously a few points clear of the drop zone, and that's good. But I mean, the season as a whole has been a bit of a we've kind of got in a bit of a roundabout way, really. Obviously, Mark Bonner left the club, who had been a legendary manager of the football club, really, back in November. Actually, it was after you guys came to the Abbey and beat us really comfortably. Neil Harris then came in and did a decent job for 11 weeks, and then got the call from Millwall to go there. So we find ourselves searching for a manager again, and we have Gary Monk now, who started with a draw against Northampton. So I think the season's gone sort of, if you look at it just purely in terms of our league position, pretty much as expected, really. But I think there is a lot of or growing concern that our fixtures are rather difficult, or comparatively with the other teams we're competing against, more difficult. And what we've shown in the last, probably since the turn of the year, really, has been probably not quite good enough. So yeah, it's we're not coming to this game probably with as much positivity as you guys. I think it's fair to say. But look, there's still plenty of reason to think we can do our job, which fundamentally is to stay up. And I'm not sure that will start on Tuesday night, but I think there's enough in the squad. I think there's enough to have reason to think that we might be okay this season. But it does feel like there's a few too many games to go for my liking, to be honest. Quite a season to end tomorrow, but we'll see how it goes.
Well, obviously, we very much hope that your kind of fight for survival doesn't begin, if you like, on Tuesday night. But you mentioned the difficult run that you've been on recently. I mean, since Christmas, and this was something I was talking to a couple of people walking out the ground yesterday, kind of looking ahead to this game. Since Christmas Day, you've won 3 matches. Okay, not a terrible record for somebody down there. It's hardly great. But those 3 wins were against Fleetwood, Shrewsbury and Carlisle, all teams that are realistically very much in a relegation fight with you guys. Is that kind of a fundamental issue to your game, that you're struggling to really be picking up results from those higher up the league?
Yeah, I think to be honest, it's been a bit of a trait that we've had since coming back into League One. To be honest, we've not particularly like against teams like the top 6, for example. We've struggled against, but increasingly that's becoming teams in the top half or just simply above us in the league. So yeah, like that. That's a problem, because although we're realistic enough, I think, as a fan base to understand and accept that we're not going to compete with your Boltons, for example, over the course of a 46-game season. But if you're starting to write off every game you play against teams in the top half, suddenly it leaves you with only a few fixtures to basically get the points you need to stay up, right? And you mentioned about the wins we've had. Even in that run, like we've been beaten by Cheltenham. We've dropped points against Burton and Exeter. So it's kind of been a bit of a mixed bag, really, even in terms of results against teams that are around us. So yeah, it's a bit concerning. I think naturally at this stage of the season, you start to look towards games against teams that have nothing to play for. So Northampton on Saturday was I guess a good opportunity to go and get 3 points against a team that realistically have nothing to play for this season. And for the first half, it looked it, and then the second half was not great viewing. But yeah, I think we are playing. You know, we've still got fixtures to play against teams that are in the top half, and that concerns me because of what I've seen from us, to be frank, over the last 2 or 3 years, really, since going back into the division.
Well, absolutely, and hopefully that's very much the case on Tuesday night. Looking kind of at your season as a whole, and you've mentioned, obviously, in terms of league position, maybe it's not too surprising as to where you are, but there's been so much sort of turmoil, if you like, throughout the whole season, especially when, like I say, when you look at who's in the dugout. Has there been much of a tactical shift progression, if you like, through, obviously, Gary Monk's only had one match. We're kind of going from Mark Bonner to Neil Harris and now to Monk. Has there been quite kind of revolutionary shifts between each of the managers so far, or have they tried to fundamentally keep a lot of things the same?
I think it's looked pretty similar all season, to be honest. I think Harris was a pretty natural progression from Bonner. Really, you know, his style of play is pretty well, it is what it is. Put it that way. I mean, you know, I think Bonner's style of play was the same. Like you know, any successes that we have had in this division so far have come from building quite a solid base. And to be honest, we've never been a team that have created loads of chances or scored loads of goals. That's obviously an area that we need to improve on if we are going to progress. Of course, I think I think that will come after the summer. That's obviously on the assumption that we stay up. And I think even regardless of the division we're in, to be honest, I think we'll see a bit of a shift. I think. You know, I'm basing it purely on to be honest, his Swansea days, which obviously a long way behind him now. But Monk's football, I think, would ideally not be what it's been at Cambridge in the last kind of year or so. I think he would look to maybe progress things a little bit more. But in terms of what we've seen this season, no, it's just been pretty much a kind of solid progression, really. And I don't really think Monk's got the kind of tools at his disposal to change too much either. So I anticipate it's going to look pretty similar across the last 10 games to what it's done for the first bit of the season as well. So, but yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'd love to see a bit of a shift, but I'm not sure we're going to see it.
No, fair enough. And to be honest, if you're making too major a shift now at this stage of the season, it could end up being very, very dangerous, can't it? Obviously, you mentioned Gary Monk there. You know, we've mentioned him a couple of times already. What was your kind of initial reaction when he was the man hired for the job?
I think I kind of thought it was a pretty decent appointment, really. It's a bit of a weird one for Gary Monk. He's not managed as a head coach for a little while. Yeah. So you know, I guess the natural concern is, you know, is that going to impact his ability to, well, I guess, impact things, really. But I think, like, if you look at his pedigree, like, he's managed big clubs at very decent levels. Like, he's obviously managing the Premier League and European competition. He's managed, you know, a lot of very decent sized clubs in the Championship. We, frankly, as a club, like, we're not in a position to be turning our nose up at somebody like that. You know, of real experience. He seems really interested in the job as well. Like, it sounds like such a basic thing, but when you're, you know, the manager that you hired previously up to left after 11 weeks, what you're looking for is someone who kind of sees himself here at least in the midterm, if not for the longer term as well. So that is naturally important. I think what gives me confidence that it can be a good appointment, and obviously hopefully will be a good appointment, is he's mentioned a couple of times, and I think it's fair and true that he has had opportunities to go back in. So I think he was close to getting the Bristol Rovers job. He apparently turned down Rotherham as well. I think towards the end of last year, and you know, he's kind of picked and chooses the kind of right opportunity for him, which I think gives me confidence anyway, that you know, he does still believe that he can get something out of a squad of players, and I think there is enough quality in terms of pedigree and experience, and, you know, that we've got available to us, that you know, we're not asking loads for him to do. Like, it's not like he doesn't have to pull rabbits out of hats. He's just got to kind of get us across the line this season, and then build hopefully for during the summer for a better one next time around. So yeah, I think it's a pretty good appointment. You know, obviously comes in with good experience, and we'll have to see how it goes, I guess. The first game against Northampton, like, you obviously can't draw many conclusions from, but it looked, again, like I mentioned, they're pretty similar. But yeah, I'm pretty happy, cautiously happy. You know, try not to get too attached to managers now, because we've been burnt by it in the last few weeks. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with where we've got to in the end.
It's I think from the outside looking in, it was certainly an appointment that raised a few eyebrows for a variety of reasons. Obviously, reasons you've already mentioned in terms of obviously his experience, but then the 3 and a bit years out of football and out of sort of management. So yeah, but who knows? And it'll be interesting to see now, like you say, if he is really that interested in the job going forward, how he can maybe build on that from next season onwards. That'll be a big part of it for you guys. Looking ahead then, specifically to on the pitch on Tuesday night, how are we expecting you guys to line up?
Well, I think we're going to come to try and make things a little bit ugly, to be honest. I don't think we're going to be lining up with a really fluid system looking to attack the game. I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be as it's been. Really, it'll be a base of probably the same 4 that we've had at the back for a little while. Who, frankly, have been pretty decent. I think overall this season, kept a lot of clean sheets. So that'll be Ryan Bennett, Michael Morrison at centre half. I think it'll probably be Liam Bennett on the right. With Danny Andrew on the left, and then it'll be probably a sort of very deep 2 in a 4-2-3-1, which will probably be Jordan Cousins and Paul Digby. Although we've kind of discussed on our pod that maybe there might be room for a bit of a change there, but I don't see it. Those 2 have played, I think, the most games in that position. I think they'll probably continue. Lyle Taylor will probably start up top. We didn't see much from him in the game against Northampton, but we have seen from him since he signed for us that he can impact games in, hopefully a good way, but also in quite a negative sense as well. And then to us, the 3 behind the striker, I'm not sure exactly how it will look. I imagine we will probably go with pace out wide because we are going to be sitting deep. We are going to have to kind of hit Lincoln on the break, I think. And yeah, it's we're not going to come for total football, I think, as we haven't done in many of our away trips, to be honest. So if you're looking for a really entertaining game, I'm not sure Tuesday night's going to be, at least from our perspective, anyway. So yeah, I think it'll be a pretty solid base and a pretty attritional approach to it. But I can't say I'm unhappy with that because I think it's going to have to be how it is.
We'll make it entertaining. We'll fill in that role. We're more than happy to, especially after the 5 goals yesterday, of course. So I guess kind of wrapping that up then, you say you're gonna make it a very difficult attritional Tuesday night, middle of winter game. That you'll kind of want to frustrate us and we'll be wanting us to be walking out of the ground a little bit peed off, if we're being honest. But how's that going to look in terms of a score prediction?
I think I'll just mirror it, really. I think it'll probably be 0-0. I think I'll go for that. That's that's about as confident as I can be at the moment, to be honest. I think it's difficult for me to see us scoring, which sounds so depressing because we've invested plenty of money on strikers and sort of attacking players that I would like to think that we could at least create a chance, but they've been at a premium of late, and like I said, I think our main aim is going to be on trying to keep you guys at bay. So yeah, I'll go for a 0-0, and it seems to be a result that's happened in this fixture quite a lot. So a repeat of however many times we've drawn 0-0 at Sincil Bank over the years would be very welcome, I think.
Well, I'll be honest, for me, seeing as we're talking about repeats, I certainly wouldn't mind a repeat of the reverse fixture this season and us to get a 3-0 home victory. And I'll be honest, it actually wouldn't surprise me too much. I'm not going to go quite as bullish as a 3-0 victory, but I am going to go for a home win to 0, and I am going to go 2-0 for us. I just think the way we're playing at the minute, suddenly, again, we drew against Stevenage last week, and as many of you guys watching will have probably agreed at the time, it was kind of a discussion that the playoff dream was maybe over. But that victory yesterday against 4th in the league, and with Stevenage not winning either, suddenly there's a little bit of belief and people believing that we're maybe back in it and Tuesday night's something to play for again. We've won 6 out of our last 8. So I am going to go for a Lincoln 2-0 victory. But let's very much see how it goes. Thank you so much for joining me, Tom. We're actually going to go and record a little bit for the Under the Abbey Stand podcast now, aren't we? Yeah, absolutely. So guys, make sure to go and check that out if you want to hear my dulcet tones. Or you can just skip the part that I'm going to just listen to Tom and the rest of the lads over there. Thank you so much for joining me, Tom. And thank you all for watching. Up the Imps.